Hello and welcome, Pacer Nation. My name is Alex.
My name is Ross.
And as always, my name is Zach.
This is the Corner 3 show, rated R for rebuild, retool, rebirth of the Indiana Pacers. A little bit has happened since we last were met by you great followers of the Corner 3 show. Ross, do you want to explain what happened in the past few weeks?
Last time we talked was draft night, right? So
post-draft.
Live.
Or post-draft.
Yeah,
so there were a couple
post-draft.
more picks after we signed off. There were some signings, some free agent signings. Monte Ellis got cut. We'll go through all that in some detail. And that was about it, right? And we didn't miss nothing else.
I don't know, Zach. Did anything else happen?
We all know what happened. Paul George was traded to the Oklahoma City Thunder. It came out of nowhere. No one saw that one coming.
Out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere.
For DeMonte Sabonis and Victor Oladipo coming back home. But
right.
Initial reactions, Ross, go.
Initial reactions were, if all those other rumors were true, felt like we could have gotten more. But then again, if you take a step back, we all knew we were only going to get pennies on the dollar anyway, so it's not too bad of a trade. And like Pritchard later said, it's previous lottery picks, players you've already seen before, guys who can still develop, still have upside. So I was kind of split in the middle about what I really thought about it. And then after the Pritchard interview and all of his other interviews in the last week, I feel more confident. I feel more excited. I mean, you're not going to get a PG player back for PG after all the things that he did. So those two guys, I don't know. I'm tempered optimism is what I'm using.
I like that.
I think there's
Zach,
a chance.
Can you come up with another term like tempered optimism for the show?
Trending upward.
Trending upward. I mean, are we trending upward? I feel like... I like the
not
moves we
trending
made.
downward, at least. It's
No.
just...
I like the moves we made, getting young guys instead of getting nothing. Obviously, like the Celtics, but I think half of Pacers fans wanted full on tank, try to get some picks, get the number one pick possibly, and other fans kind of like how the Pacers have always been. They don't tank. They always stay even keeled, like mediocre. They never full on tank. But after what has it been, a week now? Or almost a week.
A little over a week.
2 weeks.
Almost, has it really? I mean,
Sunday will be 2 weeks.
Time has flown by. I don't think about Paul George anymore.
Right,
I just see him getting greeted by fans all the time in Oklahoma. But it is what it is, and they're good young players, and we'll just have to see how everything turns out.
Did we all read the SI article?
I think to Ross's point, I think we learned a lot since Woj dispelled the rumor that Danny Ainge, put all those picks out there and Pritchard said no. I think, Danny Ainge, congratulations, he signed Gordon Hayward, but I doubt that was any of his doing. But, especially if you didn't get Gordon Hayward, they look back at, him putting out all these false rumors about Pritchard. When you trash talk other teams' front office like this and just put out lies, that's never good for your organization. But looking back at it, the market, Pritchard wasn't going to take a bad deal, and he wasn't going to say no to a great deal, right? So I think that this deal obviously presented itself. They said they like these guys from the get-go. They're young guys, like Ross and Zach said. Sabonis is super young, started on a 60-win team or a 55-win team, I think it was. And Oladipo's young too, and he's still got a lot to develop. I liked it. Like you, Ross said, we're only going to get so much on the dollar for a guy like Paul George, especially when he's a one-year rental. There's all these articles today talking about how, their recruitment to stay in OKC started today or yesterday when he flew in, and then all that Paul George. There's a Paul George party going on right now, but he's a guy who has obviously made his intentions known, and we got the best offer we could from all of the teams interested.
Yeah, did you guys get to see the Pritchard interview after he announced the new players and they asked him about the trade? So he said, one question was asked, how many of those rumors were actually true? He said less than 5%. He goes, if you're hearing about them, then it's either not true or someone's trying to rattle some cages. And he goes, I'm a direct line communicator. If you want to talk to me about a deal, call me on the phone. None of this go through the media and try to scare someone. And he brought out, like you said, Alex, they actually pursued, in his words, Oladipo and Sabonis. Those are two players they targeted who fit their bill of the type of player they want to see the Pacers have going forward, and they thought those are who they want. They brought out Sabonis. He said a weird quote on the JMV interview. He feels Sabonis is the type of player, if you tell him to eat glass, he'll eat glass. So he'll do whatever coach says. And he even brought out, he foresees him as almost a Davis brother type player going forward. Like an enforcer, like a big body set screens, which that'd be fantastic. I'd love to see that. But who knows? He's so young now.
I mean, it's just going to be a wait and see approach. I mean, everyone's got a different opinion as a Pacers fan on what's going to go on. Like, we've had some comments from Twitter, like one from Jeff Graber. He says, like what Pritch is doing, Pacers will still be good. PG not as great as people think. He's not a superstar.
Yeah.
Well,
I think
he's not a superstar.
He's a superstar, but what
he's
he
not
is I tweeted this out. I think it was yesterday, or the day before, about that little Office GIF or GIF. I still don't know how to say that word, but where Michael Scott says sometimes I start a sentence and I don't know where it's going to end up. I think Paul George, whenever he talks to the media, whether it's him playing the four, whether it's winning in Indiana, whether it's being bigger than Reggie Miller, he likes talking to the media, and sometimes I think he honestly enjoys it. It's a weird thing to say. I think when he gets going, he just says things, and I'm not saying he doesn't mean them, but I'm just saying sometimes you get on a roll and you start saying things, and then fans have expectations. Clearly, Pritchard, just like Ross said, he's a direct line communicator. So if a direct line communicator is telling the press a week later that all of the intentions from your meetings with him, put him in the direction that you were going to stay and you were excited about what he was able to build, then clearly you weren't telling the truth, or you were just talking out of your butt. So I think Pacers fans can take some, I don't know if it's pressure off there, but clearly Pritchard got the best deal, and Paul George wasn't as forthcoming as he probably should have been if he actually cared about leaving this team in a great spot. Because obviously we lost a lot of leverage, we lost a lot of opportunity there because we could have gotten draft picks. But one last point I was going to make is that when we talk about draft picks, in theory, a top 10 pick, great, can't wait. That would be the greatest thing in the world if the Pacers had a top 10 pick. Look at Lauri Markkanen, the 7th pick. He went 0 for 11 the other day, 1 for 13 from the field. But then you have a guy, and that was the 7th pick. And keep in mind, if the Pacers got the 7th pick, people would be elated. But Dwayne Bacon, who was the 40th pick in the NBA draft, just signed a 4-year deal with the Charlotte Hornets just 2 games into his summer league debut, just because they loved what he saw. So people are talking about the 40th pick who just got paid 3 years guaranteed money compared to, draft picks lose their value as soon as they're selected, is my point, is that as soon as you realize what you have, that draft pick plummets in value.
Nice. I put that in the article, if you guys read that, about Oladipo coming home. There's a difference between draft picks and actual players. Players like Oladipo, Sabonis, you know what you have, you know what their ceiling, you think what their ceiling could be. Draft pick, like you said, it could be Lauri Markkanen, who looks like a bust now, it's super early, or it could be a 40th pick who's totally surprised everyone. Or like Yogi Ferrell, not even drafted, and now he signed a 2-year deal. The draft picks are so fluid in the Pacers' history with swinging, hitting well on their picks in the last 10 years. I know that was Bird's doing not the greatest, so a draft pick versus the players is different.
I mean, kind of like wrapping up the PG subject, but also moving on, since we're getting on the subject of the draft, we did have a fan question. We might talk sports. Like I said, this will wrap it up, but also keep us moving. How do the Pacers fans feel about the Paul George trade? Did they get enough back? And then to segue it, TJ Leaf, thumbs up or thumbs down?
Ross, I think we can kind of skip past the,
we kind of already talked about the Paul
question.
George. Yeah. Obviously, we all wanted more, but obviously also the market wasn't there for it, so we kind of moved past that. But then into the draft, so TJ Leaf was the Pacers' #1 pick, the 18th pick, and then 2 second-rounders, Ike Anigbogu, I hope I said it wrong, right? And Edmund Summer, who signed the first 2-way contract. That's kind of cool. But TJ Leaf, thumbs up, thumbs down.
Your impressions? I watched quite a decent amount of Summer League, actually. I love Summer League just because you kind of see guys who you remember from college, and it's cool to see where they're at. I mean, Kevin Pangos, I don't know if you remember, the point guard from Gonzaga was playing the other day. It was just cool to see that. But Leaf looked good. He missed the first game because of his brother's wedding, but when he got to Orlando, I thought he played really well. He's, obviously got to put on a lot of muscle, but you can tell he's really talented. He knows how to. His footwork is great. So around the rim, even though he may not jump as high as some people or he's not as quick, he's able to maneuver around them really easily. I really liked what I saw, and he can shoot the heck of that corner 3 ball, which is maybe he'll sponsor the show.
Nice, yeah. He was taking guys off the dribble, which for a 6'10" guy and a young guy at that, I was impressed. I like to see that. He was finishing with
barely
either
19.
hand. I mean, obviously super young and super skinny, but I think there's a chance, upside, like Kevin Pritchard wants, trend towards the upside. I'm afraid they're going to trade Thad Young now, give TJ more time, but that's another topic for later. One side note I want to mention before you go, Zach, but the Summer League, do you know why the Pacers, Scott Agnes had this on, why the Pacers don't go to Vegas and they only do Orlando?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just like, it's old school Pacers basketball.
Yeah.
We're not going to, put out things in the media. We're not going to go to Vegas because it's too much of a show. We're going to go to Orlando because it's all basketball, no fans are in, and no one's cheering and yelling, hooting and hollering.
Yeah, Vegas is a lot bigger spectacle because the fans come in, whereas Orlando is just straight up.
It's old school gym.
Yeah, NBA personnel and
Right on
coaches,
top
and
of
they
it.
just, it's more intimate, and they'd rather have that environment than Vegas, which, yeah, okay, I understand.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Zach, what's your thought on the draft haul?
I liked the pick from the beginning. I gave it a thumbs up. I had no problem with it. I mean, because if you look who was taken after him, I didn't want John Collins.
He looks good though. He looks like
he looks
he's a
good, but
player.
I mean, I just wasn't a fan of him. I've watched him a couple times. They played Dayton, and a couple times I got to see him play. I mean, the only guy I think just seeing him play a lot, and I think a lot of Pacers fans would say the same thing I'm saying. The only guy that you think you would take over that is Caleb Swanigan.
He's looked good too.
He's looked good in Summer League. So, yeah, I was fine with TJ Leaf. It's a guy who's going to stretch the floor. So now you have Miles Turner and TJ Leaf out there when they are together. Two bigs who will stretch the floor, who can hit a jumper but also possibly take a guy off the dribble. He's obviously got to put on some weight. I think the Ike pick was really good because he was projected as a first-rounder.
Yeah, in a lot of mock drafts, he was actually projected to be the 17th pick by the Pacers. But today he actually just signed his deal, and it looks like it's not going to be a two-way deal. It looks like he actually is going to be, or he still could play for the Mad Ants, but it looks like he's going to play, at least be on the 15-man roster.
Yeah, because his injury isn't as bad as Sumner, so he can actually get on the team this year.
Yeah.
And then I like the Sumner pick. If you go back to before the season started, he was projected as a lottery pick before his injury.
That's what second-round picks are for, right? Take flyers on guys like that.
Yeah, I mean, just let him recover from his knee injury. I think, does he have a shoulder injury now, too? Or something like that?
Yeah, he's got like a little bit of a shoulder thing. He had surgery on it, but it's not a very big deal. But yeah, he's injury-prone, but I got to see him play at Xavier a couple times when I went up to see Trayvon Blewett play, and I mean, he's awesome. And I mean, I know the scouts love him because he's a 6'6" point guard, freak athlete, can get up and down the floor well. He's got to improve his shot a little bit, but I mean, I think a prototype point guard going forward is an Edmund Summer, 6'6", super lanky, athletic, can kind of switch, play guard 1 through 3. I mean, I think if he's healthy, that's the perfect second round pick for them.
Yeah, I feel like he's going to be a guy that they're just going to let develop over the next couple of years, kind of like they let Lance develop when they first got him. And just let him practice everybody, get used to it, and he'll be in the G League, not the D League anymore.
Oh yeah, the G League. Got to remember that now.
I feel like
I just saw that there's August 13th. I could pay $400 and participate in the first G League invitational to try to make an NBA team. But
they have open tryouts.
It,
Every team has open tryouts like a month before the training camp starts.
Hey, who knows? Who knows? Maybe we could all go in it together. Frost, do you want to go over who's not with the Pacers anymore?
Yeah, so their obviously free agent period started right after the draft. Lavoy Allens was team option, not picked up. Aaron Brooks, straight up free agent. Jeff Teague, also straight up free agent. Rakeem Christmas was cut. And then Monte Ellis, they reached an agreement. They haven't decided if they're going to stretch it yet, but he is waived as well. Yeah. So all those players, I know Teague is with another team, but the rest of them are all out on the market now to go somewhere else.
I think Aaron Brooks was just a one-year deal, right?
For the Pacers when he was here?
Yeah, was that
he's
just a one-year
free
deal?
agent now, yeah.
Okay,
so I don't know where he's going to go. Any of those 5 you miss or going to miss?
Christmas, actually.
Maybe
but
Christmas.
I think this is kind of weird because of the fact that we have all these bigs, but I think in the next few days we'll start to see some more movement here. I don't know if Serafin will be at the team. I think a lot of guys want him on the team, but I don't know, especially with them signing Ike to the NBA roster. that kind of is a foreshadowing, I think, to at least one of those Al, Thad, or Kevin moving.
No, I agree. The draft and who they've signed and who they cut, I think, spell doom on the Pacers for Joe Young and then Seraphin or Al Jefferson. And they can't cut Jefferson until next offseason, like Monte's contract, unless they stretch it like Monte's. And I don't think they're going to do that to two players or can do that to two players legally. I don't know how that works. So one of those guys, especially one of the bigs, is probably not going to be on the team here before the season starts.
Oh, you keep Jefferson. If Jefferson can get in shape, he's a good big man. I mean, I would try to keep him as long as you can. If he's gotten himself back in shape this summer.
Yeah.
You keep him one more year, then you cut him.
I think, too, the Pacers right now, so now they've got some nice pieces. We'll talk about them in a second. But even a guy, actually, we can talk about right now. I mean, so they signed Darren Collison, former Indiana Pacer, obviously, 2 years, $20 million, and then Bojan Bogdanovic. And it actually came out today that his second-year option, it's only going to cost the Pacers $1.5 million in order to
front-loaded it, yeah.
have him not come back next year. So, but I think with Bogdanovic and Al Jefferson, what you can see is if those guys play really well, which they definitely could, especially if Big Al comes into shape, just like Bogdanovic last year was a trade piece for the Wizards to try to make their run, I could see the Pacers trying to move him at some point to try and, gain a draft pick here, another young player. I love both of these signings, actually. Even though a lot of people don't like the Collison signing because, he's been here once and he's had some issues off the court. For $20 million for 2 years, I mean, why not, Especially when you're not going to be super relevant.
Yeah, one thing that no one's been talking about is the Pacers' cap space for next year. You know how much they have in contracts for 2018, 2019 season right now? I just looked it up. $39 million in guaranteed contracts.
It's nothing.
Cap's 102 right now. They have a ton of space next year.
Well, because Pritchard said that he's only going to do like one a year deals, like 1+1 team options. Keep their options open because
there's how many team options? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players with team options.
Because everybody went spending crazy last summer and they signed these guys to ridiculous contracts, guys who didn't need to make that much money. So now next year, Pacers will have cap space to do something because everybody else will be with bloated contracts with no salary cap space to make a move at all.
Yeah.
So I like it.
Yeah, I think the Pacers are a perfect partner here for a team that has one of those really bad contracts and needs to get rid of it in order to stay relevant in free agency. So you can see the Pacers take on a bad contract, but with that bad contract, they'll be taking on a bunch of draft picks. So look out for the Pacers to be definitely in trade rumors throughout the season, because I think that's a perfect move for the Pacers is to take on a bad contract, because most likely, Pritchard will demand a first-round draft pick if he wants to take on any of these bad picks. So I really like what we've done thus far. Every right move. I know Collison, after we found out that we're going to get Corey Joseph, I guess that's a move he maybe didn't have to make. But we want to talk about that move, Zach?
So as most Pacers fans will know, C.J. Miles did a sign-in trade with the Pacers to go to Toronto, bringing back Corey Joseph, getting another Texas player to make Miles Turner happy. I liked the move. You got two starting, not great, but starting guards. I'd rather see, honestly, most people project Collison as a starter, but I'd rather see Joseph starting. But that's just me, just seeing him playing in Toronto. I think he's a better fit as a starter. But like Ross kind of pointed out earlier, this is sad to see. It's sad to see CJ go. He's one of our favorite players, but this is also, I think, a sign that Joe Young won't be coming back. But that's just me. He hasn't been able to get on the court. Was this his third year now? And he just hasn't. I think they've given him all they could, and he did okay in the summer league, but it's not like he lit him up to where like, oh yeah, he needs to be our backup point guard. So
no, I feel like his first two summer leagues, especially his rookie year summer league, which got him that 4-year contract, that was great. I think they'll keep him right now because they don't really have any other guards. You look at this roster right now, it's like you got 3 point guards, you got a couple wings, and then like 8 bigs. So right now it's like if we were playing in 1993, we'd be a great team.
Yeah, we're real thin in the middle. Yeah, a lot of smalls and bigs. Need to get something in the middle. I guess we can go. Fan comment from Alan Patterson kind of sums up what all of us are saying. Pritchard has done a great job so far. He's made the Pacers good as they can under the circumstances of losing PG and will be competitive. In the East, heck yeah, we're going to be competitive.
I know.
I'm
That's the
afraid of
thing.
an 8th seed again in the East is in the Pacers' future here.
I
Well,
mean,
let's
that's the
be-
thing too.
yeah.
It's like, if this was a regular year with a regular Eastern Conference, strength, the Pacers, of course, wouldn't make the playoffs. But just because of how bad the rest of the East is, this roster, when you look at it, it's like we might get the 8th or 7th or even the 6th seed. I mean, because of how bad the rest of the East. I mean, the rest of the East is just awful with no real plan or direction.
Especially
Look at a team like the Magic, it doesn't make any sense.
Especially if Melo gets traded, like the rumors are. That's another player leaving the Eastern Conference and going west. I mean, kind of rounding it up, Paul Abels tweeted at us, which players would you now consider to be Indiana's best assets? He's guessing Turner, Oladipo, Leaf, and Joseph. And he says, man, that's bare.
Yeah, but we're not looking to trade a whole lot. We're looking to grow these young guys. So, I mean, I understand it looks pretty thin. It was thin last year. Paul George,
Turner,
Miles,
Thad,
and CJ are probably your top four.
Well, who would you guys say? I mean, I think the best trade assets right now, I think you're looking at Thad and you're looking at Bogdanovich because, I mean, I don't put Turner on there because, I mean, he's an untouchable for this team. But
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's going to take on the Oladipo contract either. So I'd say Thad, Bogdanovich, maybe Al if he can really, if he can be in shape and has a really great start to the year. But I don't really know if we have any trade assets, but that's fine. I mean, because really what we're going to be taking on is hopefully bad contracts. And Pacers fans, you are going to want to get bad contracts this year. You're going to want that because when that cap space opens up, teams are going to want players, and we can provide the space to, be their trash can, basically.
Yeah, just go, hey, LA, we'll take Dang off your hands, but we'll take your first-round pick, too, or something like that. Like, that's what Brooklyn kind of did with Russell. Well, in a way. But, that'll be interesting to see. So, projected starting lineups, Zach already mentioned, he said, or it hasn't been for sure yet, Collison is the most likely candidate to
only
start.
starters that they said would be Oladipo and Turner. So,
Which makes sense, okay.
but
And Bogdanovich to a point, right? That was
He
reported.
said
Nate Taylor
Bogdanovich
said
has the lead spot. Yeah.
league spot.
going into camp.
He didn't say for sure, and I think Glenn has a great chance of taking that from him, and I'd love to see Glenn do that, but
I don't think Glenn's starter material.
No?
I don't think he's a starter. I'd rather see Bogdanovich start.
Yeah.
Glenn he's not, unless he's improved greatly over the summer. He's just a guy
overly dedicated.
He's going to come in off.
the
He's going to
thing
come in
is-
off the
thing
bench,
is
play
with
good
that
D,
too,
get a couple points.
You have to look at it from a business perspective. If Bogdanovich comes off the bench, that's less minutes for him to show that he's really effective. And I know while I want Glenn to start because I want him to get minutes to see what we can get out of him, I kind of want Bogdanovich to start so we can hopefully trade him at the deadline.
Yeah, Glenn will be a free agent next year, so you kind of want him to have a down year so you can afford him. Because right now he's only making $1.5 million.
Yeah. So Collison, they have projected Collison as starter. I say Joseph, Oladipo, Bogdanovich, Young, and Turner rounds it out. If Young is still here by the time the season starts, because I don't think they're done. I think if the trade came along for Thad Young and they could get a pick or an expiring contract, they would take it. But that's
I agree.
That's just me. 'Cause why not play your young guys and just develop them if you're not gonna, compete for a championship? Obviously, we're years away from that. So.
Yeah. I agree with you. Twitter question then from Joe Betts, one of the writers at iPacers. He says, what is the projected 9-man rotation? So we mentioned our starting 5 there. So off the bench, Glenn Robinson is a for sure.
Lance,
There's
Joseph.
6, 7. Corey Joseph, 8. So 9 would be a
Leaf.
backup big. Would
Leaf.
you do Seraphin or Leaf?
I mean, Leaf is definitely
Leonard
Leaf is
Jefferson.
playing. Leaf is playing. I mean, that's
Isn't it
done
Jefferson?
deal.
Probably Jefferson would be the backup big. You think Leaf's going to get some serious minutes this year?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think Lance is going to play some backup point guard minutes. I mean, I don't understand why. I think they're going to go 10 deep, especially with a team that's looking for what's going to click, not necessarily what's going to get you wins right now. I mean, the stupid thing would be to play, Jefferson, Young, Bogdanovich, and then none of the young guys. That'd be that'd be poor, especially when Ike comes back and he's healthy. You're gonna want to just feed him minutes. Why not? We don't care.
And to keep, he also asked what were the first 3 scoring options, 1, 2, and 3. So if I'm looking at this, depending on who's the starter, if Joseph is the starter, I'm going to say Oladipo's 1, Turner 2, and Joseph 3.
Corey Joseph 3.
Corey Joseph 3. If he's the starting point guard, would be my guess.
I agree with that. And if Thad's still here, I think Thad is the third option. But we all kind of feel like Thad's not going to be here. So
I feel like Thad's a small forward in a power forward position. Like, I just don't think he's a power forward.
I just think he's a tweener. I mean, he's a good tweener. I just think he's a tweener. I don't think he really is a 3 or a 4, but I don't know. I think Turner is probably going to be the go-to though, but I think that
needs to be.
I think he and Oladipo could both average 23 points a game, 24 points a game.
If McMillan takes the handcuffs off him and lets him run instead of tells him to be more of a distributor, yeah, I think I'd like to see that.
And then to finish off the question, he asks, what are we going to project for next year's draft pick?
So this year Pacers were 18 and they were 7 seed in the East. So next year,
depends how bad the East is. All the trades and free agencies not done
East
yet.
looks like it's going to be really.
Well, I think we're going to have multiple. So I'm going to think our pick is around 12, but I think we're going to have at least 2 picks.
I'm going to go with. I think they're going to surprise them. I think they're going to be 15th. And if they did trade into the first round again, I don't think he would take a late first rounder. It would be something that'd be like 18 or 19, something around there, depending on what he could get. But I think they're going to be 15th pick. I think this team is going to be young. They're going to be hungry to show that they can play. And it's going to be that team that, won't be great, but fans will like watching them. So I'm saying 15th.
A fun league pass team.
For sure. Next, I wanted to read this. I don't know if you guys saw it, but there's a paragraph from Kevin O'Connor's article in The Ringer.
Oh, Kevin O'Connor.
I know I shouldn't give him any more airtime. Alex and I both have decided that we will not listen to any podcast with Kevin O'Connor. Kevin O'Connor is the king of ring or tank. There are only 2 options in the NBA. So if you're not competing for a championship, you need to blow it up and you need to tank and get picks. So he graded the Pacers offseason. He said, in my eyes, the Pacers are the biggest losers of the summer.
I saw that,
but not every franchise has the same objectives, and progress can't always be graded on the same scale. Some owners, so now he's calling out this Mr. Simon, some owners care about chasing championships, so do whatever it takes to get there, even if the best path involves tanking. 76ers. They'll make unpopular but forward-thinking decisions. They'll build through the draft, even though it'll take time for the fruit to bear. I'm grading on that kind of scale. How committed is a team to its championship roadmap? But that isn't the scale by which all ownerships measure value. Some prioritize the bottom line, hoping only to stay afloat. The George trade gives an idea of which bucket the Pacers fall into.
That's bullcrap.
What's he want him to do?
Jerk?
Well,
I mean,
first of all,
do?
Pritchard said in his press conference that Simon was willing to spend whatever amount of money it took this year. And the Pacers have put together, think about this, the Pacers were in the worst controversy in NBA history in the Malice at the Palace in 06. Did they tank? No. What they did is they tried to put some young pieces together. They traded away all their players who were, branded with the Malice at the Palace. They took on Troy Murphy, Mike Dunleavy, some terrible teams. But guess what? They slowly built. They picked Danny Granger. They Darren Collison. Then you pick up Paul George. And then David West comes. And you have Roy Hibbert. And you have Lance. Like, the Pacers have done it before. I mean, if the Pacers if they didn't have the Heat, which they had no control over LeBron and Dwayne and Chris Bosh going to Miami, but it's worked before, and there's already reasons to show at this point, just a few weeks away from Paul George announcing that he doesn't want to come back to Indiana, that the Pacers are headed on the right trajectory.
Yeah, there are. It's proven there are different routes to take. There's not just tanking and then hoping that you get a super team or going after a super team. You can build. Like the Suns have been tanking. They've been bad since Nash left. They've been unbearable to watch. And Pritchard, like you mentioned, he discussed with ownership, Mr. Simon, all right, there's 3 models. There's the tank model, there's the go and just cap yourself out model, or there's the model that they're following. And they ran all those scenarios, and they decided, let's go after young players with a trending toward an upside. That's the best model to follow. That's the model the Pacers have followed pretty much their entire history as a franchise. And like you said, after the Mouse and the Palace, if they had tanked, I don't know if the team would still be here. And people were so mad at the team anyway, and if the product on the floor was garbage.
Do you think David West would have ever come to Indianapolis, Indiana, if the Pacers would have tanked for all those years? Look at what he's done since he left the Pacers. He went to San Antonio, to chase a championship ring. I mean, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but then he goes to Golden State and signs for nothing. I mean, do you think the Pacers would have been where they were when David West signed if they would have tanked after the Malice at the Palace? There's no way to say.
No. So we're all in disagreement strongly with Mr. Kevin O'Connor. I will never read anything by him.
I
We'll
never
just
come
read
on the
anything
pod.
until Ross told me about it. So
It was all over.
It's Ross's fault.
It made me mad. I wanted to vent a little bit.
Ross
on that.
just getting his name out there.
Now forget it. There you go.
All right, Ross.
Next, we've kind of already talked about what do we see next on the Pacers before the season starts here. We feel like Thad may be moved for some picks for some younger players. Seraphin, or at least one of the bigs, is in jeopardy now that we have how many centers do they have
4
on that depth chart? 4 for sure with Young and Leaf, so they have 5, 6 bigs. A little bit overkill. So one of the bigs is getting moved, and it's most likely Seraphin, unfortunately for him. But other than that, side point, G League fans, ex-D League fans who follow the Mad Ants, they changed their colors finally, because for my entire 5-year season ticket holder run and the entire history of the team, they've had
So proud.
Cavs colors.
Or you could say they're hickory colors.
No, they're Cavs colors.
well, I
They're
was trying to
crimson
mess
and
that
yellow. It was disgusting. Now they changed to blue and gold for the first time. Finally.
Yeah, part of the
nice.
Pacers bought them a year ago. The Simons bought them, so now they're really branded as the Indiana Pacers D League team, which is pretty cool. I think now 27 of the 30 teams have a D League team. It's only like Portland and I think the Magic and one other team who don't have a D League affiliate.
It's pretty cool. Now with the 2-way contracts too, it's a new thing.
Which
People are
is
getting
so
to figure out how to.
So smart.
It's going to be really kind of. It'd be cool to be in 4-way.
They just need to keep developing it, make it like the minor leagues in baseball, and to develop your young guys, and it gives your fans out on the outskirts of the city who don't get to go to the games. They get to see at least who they're developing, and
It makes your second round pick more valuable. I feel like now because you can actually develop the player instead of
pay them.
Something's going to happen, and still actually pay them.
And because
enough that
a
they'll
big
stay
part
instead
of the part of the D and the G League model still, even after this 2-way deal, is that they just don't pay very well in the G League, and that means that late second round picks would rather go out to Europe where they're going to make a lot more and then wait till the next season or wait till a team calls about them rather than wait around and sleep in a Motel 6 in the middle of Sioux City, Iowa, because that's not as nice as Naples, Italy. So I think the more money that they can pump into the G League would be great for the NBA. Like Zach said, making it a minor league where you've got guys getting paid, because there's so much talent overseas that stays overseas because they know that if they come back over and they don't make a team and they have to go to the G League, they are going to make nothing.
Sorry,
What?
Jimmer Fredette.
Got a
He
sidetrack now.
said Europe overseas. Jimmer Fredette's doing really great in China. Anyway. Anything else we want to talk about on the Pacers side? I mean, we didn't talk about the SI article. Did we want to talk about? We kind of already talked about Paul George and we're vented.
No,
don't want to bring that up anymore.
No.
PG.
All I say is, where's the New
lying to our
Jerseys?
faces.
I want the New Jerseys.
I want the New Jerseys. Do you see those? Do you see those mock-ups by that one graphic artist?
Yeah, that one guy.
Those were awesome.
Just bring back the FloJoes and the black one. The black one actually,
was
I know
dirty.
they hate black jerseys. That looks sharp. I really like
dirty.
that one.
I'm just interested to see what they.
Well, the ESPN guy said the deal with Adidas ends October 1st when Nike takes over. So I feel like it's going to be a while till we get to see what they look like. But everyone who has seen it, Agnes and Mark Boyle both said, you're going to like it. And that's all.
They've seen it? Agnes
That's
has
what Mark
seen it?
Boyle said. Agnes said he's seen it, and that's all he can say.
Oh my!
You're going to like it. So...
Hey, Scotty, how about you send us a picture?
Yeah, thanks, Scott. Which Scott also, did you see he tweeted about Hayward right before we started recording, that there were discussions with Hayward's people about if we brought you over and Paul George at the same time, what do you think? And he was interested in that. And then PG went and wanted to be traded. So, I mean, that doesn't really help
cool.
now. Just makes you mad. But
My personal opinion is this is just me being a conspiracy theorist. PG didn't want Gordon Hayward coming because
my city.
Gordon Hayward would get more love in Indiana than PG would, and PG would not be the main star or the attention getter anymore.
I tweeted about. I had a little tweet rant the other day where I said, PG had only been the leader of this team for 2 years. Before that, when the team was at its peak success, it was David West, it was George Hill, who were the actual leaders of the team, and everyone knew that. No one was denying that Paul George had the most talent on the team, or was maybe the biggest reason that the Pacers were as successful as they were, but he was never the leader of the team. And when your first year as the leader, well, really 3 years, but 1 year you didn't play at all, The second year, you're struggling all year to create chemistry. You take Toronto to 7. People are kind of interested. You make a couple moves. Thad Young, Al Jefferson. Who cares? Then this year, you hit a lot of turmoil. Even though you make the playoffs, you hit a lot of adversity. And it clearly showed that, I'm sorry, for all the people out there, there's a couple Twitter pods. I respect you guys, but there is something extremely important about being a presence, whether it's in private in the locker room, whether it's when you talk to the press, or whether it's on the court. And Paul George did not show that presence, especially when he talked to the media. And from all of his rumors coming out of his camp, just none of it showed that he wanted to embrace the role of, dog eat dog. I am going to be the man. I am Mr. Indiana Pacer.
Because he's Robin. He's not Batman.
I'm going to take it all on my shoulders. I'll take it, guys, from here.
And which is completely fine. But like I said earlier, when he talks too much, when he talks about wanting to be bigger than Reggie was, Mr. Indiana Pacer. Reggie was Batman. So when you talk about that, you put this false narrative, and that's probably on us for believing it too much, because this is the NBA, this is the business. But I think Pacers fans are handling this quite a bit more healthier than previous fan bases have handled theirs.
I think it's because we got something back.
At least we got something back.
I think if we got nothing,
and we get to watch Oklahoma City right now throwing them these parties, and we're thinking, oh man, 12 months from now, can't wait to be in our shoes. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, think about this. Oklahoma City, if they lose Russ and they lose Paul George, they just traded away their 2 best young assets as well. So, Sam Presti, you're on notice.
We'll see how it goes. I mean, who was the Doyle wrote that article today?
The one I sent, that was Conrad Bruner about the letter to Oklahoma.
That was a great article. It was like, just wait.
Look it up.
11 months from now.
It was a letter to Oklahoma City fans. He's saying all the things you want to hear right now. And that's what he told all of us. I mean, he talks from both sides of his face. We'll see. Not saying he's a liar. He just doesn't think through what he's saying. Like he
says what people want to hear, and he says what sounds good at the moment.
Yeah, because he never said, "I am staying here forever. I love it here."
He never said that.
I'm doing what we can.
I'm a Pacer. I'm a Pacer next
which
season.
Which is true, but
he's going to LA. He ain't gonna want to stay in Oklahoma.
He walked that back too, right? He's like, everyone's saying that. If we have a good thing in Oklahoma City, I'm definitely staying. No, you're not.
Not happening.
No, you're not. You're going to LA.
Sorry,
Stop
OKC.
talking.
All right. So where can they catch us, everyone? And make sure to listen to our NBA pod if you want to hear all our hot NBA takes in a few seconds. When this podcast ends, I'll go right to the next one.
Ross.
Who's got the Ross?
Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Which do we?
We didn't even touch Facebook.
And Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, which Zach was
We're just going to say Twitter and Instagram from now on. No more Facebook.
Twitter and Instagram for now. Who cares about Facebook? And we also do YouTube, obviously, if you're watching this. Like and subscribe. Tell your friends about us. If you want to get in contact with us, we also have the email, thecorner3show@gmail.com.
Also, my last shout-out is to Nate McMillan's new goatee. And that does it for the Corner 3 Show. My name is Alex, and they're Ross and Zach. See you next time.
See ya.
Peace.